All right. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the CrossForge Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Patrick Ryan, otherwise known as Huge Cow Patty, or HCP for short. Today, I am joined by Mr. Sam Unger.
Hello.
Mr. Ned.
Evening, everyone.
The famous Mr. Ned. Sorry. And Mr. Jimmy Bones.
How's it?
And Anifix.
I'm here.
Sweet. We got a good show for you today. We're going to talk about Disney upping their bid to buy Fox, and more importantly, Fox accepting the bid, and what that means, what all has to take place now before the buyout actually happens, if it actually happens, so on and so forth. Before we get into that, I like to catch up with my list of panelists, and we haven't had Sam here in a little while. Well, I guess he was on last week because we talked about Sony. He was here for some E3 stuff. So, how you been, Sam?
I'm good. Just hanging in there. My nephew was born yesterday.
Sweet.
Number 17.
Nephew number 17?
not nephew.
Okay.
I'm uncle for the 17th time.
He's like the Ric
You
Flair.
guys
of
Mormons by
Wow.
chance?
Yeah, no joke.
I have 5 other siblings that
That's-
are all older than me by a lot.
Gum.
So the
Also-
answer is yes then, yeah?
Wait,
Yeah.
I didn't hear the question.
Were you Mormon?
Oh no, not at all. It started out. My dad was Catholic, grew up Catholic. But
Do
no,
they have lots of do Catholics have lots of babies? I
He
don't
never
know.
was Catholic. Never was.
That's true. Well, he never was. It was
Yeah, we
my
try.
grandparents.
Okay. Well, I was to say, because like if you're like a professional Catholic, you don't have babies, but if you're just like an amateur Catholic, then you do. Is that how that works?
Well, so what happened there was my sister actually adopted 2 girls, and then she got pregnant. So that kind of helped speed it up a little bit.
There you go.
She was they weren't
So
expecting
she went
to be able
bought
to have
some
them.
babysitters.
Yes.
Well, one of them is only a couple months older than who she's pregnant with now. So
Oh, well, there you go. Booyah. Well, cool. Ned, how you been? Maybe unmute yourself. So much
Sorry,
better.
Yeah, apparently you have to remember there is a physical mute switch on your headset too.
It's true.
Oh, duh, mine's never.
Hey,
mind.
by the way, what headset is that?
Mine,
Yeah.
it is a Logitech G230.
How long you had it?
About 2 years now.
I only asked because it sounds nice. How much was it?
When I got it, it was on sale at Best Buy for $39.99.
That's not bad. It's a nice sounding mic for a $40 headset. Anyway, I was just wondering. Okay, go on. How you doing?
I've been doing pretty well. We had our recording last night of the first episode of the new Tech Forge podcast we're doing for CFG.
That's
which,
right. I haven't
should be
watched it
going
yet,
up-
but I'm excited.
should be going up pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
And
Who all was in it?
it was myself, Jason, and Hunter.
So basically, I have to watch it then.
Yes. Indeed.
Pretty much.
Well, cool.
And there's already been some new stuff come up today that is going to make it into next week's show. So
Yeah, I
Nice.
saw you guys sharing stuff. And actually, I think you posted to Facebook one of the things that you shared. So it was pretty big deal.
Yep.
AMD fanfic, basically. No.
Oh, come on now.
All right, yeah, that's cool. It's exciting stuff happening here at CFG. Jimmy, how's life in a truck?
Small.
Yeah.
8x8, give or take. By about 12.
That's what you really need, though, right?
Well, for me, yeah, it's fine,
Mhm.
but
minimalist living.
some other folk get a little claustrophobic. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know me, just working and stuff, and driving and stuff. I did do some really big important things over the last several days, though. I went when I was home last. I bought a truck. I think I mentioned that to you guys at one point. It's really nice. It's a shame I never get to drive it though. Building a saltwater aquarium. Oh, and I hired this Assad cat to be our new social media manager. So that's important.
Ba 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 ba.
Well, I wasn't expecting that to come out so fast.
Yeah, well, he's the new tube, so talk to him now.
There you go. Yeah, so my brother Kelly was temporary social media manager. He did a really good job while he was doing it, but life got in the way. He's in the Navy, so he quit doing it, and we'd been looking for someone, and we found someone, and now I'm going to hand it over to our social media manager, Mr. Assad Bakshwagan. What you want?
I'm just gonna call
different.
him M. Night Shyamalan from now on.
Oh,
Like
That's
like
hurtful.
Sixth Sense M. Night Shyamalan or The Last Airbender M. Night Shyamalan?
I was gonna go with Unbreakable because that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's pretty
him at his peak. That's cool. All right, yeah. All right, Assad. Other than you have a new unpaid job, what's new?
Unfortunately, not very much. Gets in the middle of the week, and it's just mostly doing things that make me busy, but nothing like super notable.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep you busy. Trust me.
Yeah, I did finish my
We already
Gundam.
Your go? Yeah. Hey, can we see it?
That's what he's
That's about it.
nice.
Yeah. So I got to be careful because if I don't, he'll just like go flying off this stand. But now he's got all these like fire effects and stuff, and
Whoa.
Dude,
Sweet.
yeah.
That was awesome.
that's pretty
Yeah.
tight. That's the new ship that Trump's building for the United States Space Force.
Heck yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Me.
That's
What's
not
that?
funny, guys. That's a serious thing.
No, I know it's serious, and I think it's awesome that we're doing it. I just also wish that what we were getting were Gundams. I know it's not
Mhm.
happening, but that'd be awesome.
Okay, well, I mean, the thing that we have to understand is that to start with, it's basically just we're going to be giving BB guns to NASA. After that, we're going to have to decide if we're going to go the ODST route, the Starship Troopers route, the Starfleet route, or the Han Solo route, where nobody actually wants to join it.
Jimmy, you forgot the most important one, and that's the Imperium of Mankind route.
Ooh.
Oh no! Because then we'd have to like enclose him in like a metal sarcophagus, and I don't think that Trump would handle that sort of thing very well. As much as I like the guy, I don't think he has the brain power to hold off the chaos like the emperor is supposed to be able to do.
Can't we just put rocket boosters on all the stuff that the Coast Guard owns and call it a day?
No, because we all know the Coast Guard's not real military. Come on.
That's why this will be a nice upgrade for them and a nice boost in morale.
They don't
Anyway,
need it. They get to chase drug dealers all day. They get all that coke.
oh, that's true. All right, let's move on. Oh yeah, live read Humble Bundle. Anybody know what's new in Humble Bundle? I haven't looked. And I know there's a free game on Humble
We've got
Bundle
all
right now.
sorts of lovely packs.
All right.
There is, and if you go to our community group, you'll see the link that I put up for it. But we have all sorts of great Humble packages that Assad's going to get to advertise for us here
That's
shortly.
true.
But the monthly, I don't know what it is because I've been too busy to pay attention, honestly.
I talked about it last time. Let's see. It is Hearts of Iron 4, Black Wake, and Portal Knights. And according to this, the total MSRP of all of that is $79.97 US dollars stuff. Those are the early unlocks. Yeah, last month was Destiny 2, and the month before that was Dead Rising 4, Kerbal Space Program, and Ruiner. So I mean, they can't all be like knocked out of the park, but like I said, that's also just the first 3 unlocks. Once the bundle is officially released, there'll be more stuff. We just don't know what it is yet. So
And
yeah,
if your interest more is more aligned with tabletop gaming. They do have a 5e Dungeons, Hordes, and Horrors pack available as well for D&D 5th edition.
Yep. So there was a last Monday there was a manga bundle that's not there anymore. Now you have Survive Anything, comes with ebooks like Prepper Nuts, Modern
Yeah, I missed that one.
Survival.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I missed the manga one. I was wanting to get it and I just kind of slipped my mind. Let's see, Lost in basically survival stuff, so that when we all nuke ourselves into oblivion, you'll know how to outlive everybody else.
I already
Useful
know
ability
that.
to have.
What a crazy lady.
But yeah, so they got book bundles, they got game bundles, they've got programming bundles. There's a bundle here about learning how to program stuff. So it's neat
This
stuff.
one that popped out with security programs on it, security software. That's
Yeah.
the word. Just came out yesterday, something like that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, really cool stuff. And when I say security software, we're not talking about like a subscription to Norton. No,
No,
about like a subscription to Norton. No.
no, this is
I'm
like
surprised it's not in there, honestly. My freaking Big Mac meal. It's Big McAfee is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
But no, there's some actually good stuff in that bundle. A year's Dashlane Premium, which is a password storing and backup site. Spider Oak One Backup. A year subscription to Proton Mail, which is a secure mail service. And a year of private internet access, which is a VPN service.
that's that VPN that started sponsoring Linus Tech Tips recently.
Indeed.
Not well. That's
Heard
the
good
one that
stuff
they
about it.
replaced TunnelBear with, yeah.
Yeah. And I've Linus, I remember he did a whole video about why they weren't doing TunnelBear anymore, and he about darn well sold me on this private internet. I just haven't gone and done it yet, but
Right. Well, isn't that the video that I shared, and you were like, you didn't watch it because the title was like weird?
oh yeah, I didn't watch it at first, but I watched it after you shared it and was like, oh, but yeah, the title was weird or something. So anyway, so Humble.
That's what it was.
Right, that's what it was. So anyway, Humble Bundle, there is a link to our Humble Partner store in the description of this podcast, both on YouTube and if you're listening on Patreon. All right, big news for comic book fans all over the world. Well, comic book movie fans, I should say. This probably doesn't really affect the comic books all that much, if at all. Disney, everybody knows by now that Disney has been trying to buy out Fox for a little while, and then Comcast was like, no, we don't want you to do that. And so they made an offer on Fox, which I'm assuming was higher than the Disney bid. Wouldn't make any sense if it wasn't. And then Disney just recently upped their bid to $74 billion. That's billion with a B. It's a lot of money. Lots and lots and lots of money. 74 points, so even bigger than what I am reading here. And Fox accepted. Now, of course, there's a bunch of hoops that have to be gone through, so this is not a done deal, but I have a feeling this is all but finished. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what it means. We're going to talk about if this is a good thing, if this is a bad thing, is Disney getting too big, on and on and on. That's what we do here on the podcast. So I want to go ahead and open the floor up to because like I as big of a fan as I am of movies and the MCU in particular, I know there are people on the panel that are probably way bigger fans than I am and have a lot more to say and probably a lot more informed things to say about it. So I'm gonna turn the floor over. Whoever wants to go, jump in.
Well, you say it's a done deal, and or pretty much a done deal. And it's got a lot of hoops it's going to have to go through before it could ever be even close to a done deal. The SEC has to get involved into it. There's probably going to be judges and lawyers and whatnot getting in on it, not just the contract stuff, but whether or not it is legal, because we are approaching that point where Disney is slowly, steamrolling everybody and becoming a trust. It's becoming damn near a monopoly. this is really a bad thing. It's flat out a bad thing. It's terrible for consumers because when you have one studio to rule them all, as it were. I mean, you have basically one message source, and if you look at how like the messages through the MCU movies have kind of evolved through the time. You have your pro-America messages, you have your pro-neutrality, pro-peace, pro-positivity messages through there, and then suddenly it swaps into this really kind of a harsh liberalism that just gets thrown in there without any sort of actual story justification for it. And yes, I'm looking at Black Panther, and everybody knows my opinions of how it was not a good movie. But you look at like Winter Soldier, and you see why Cap does what he did. You see why he behaved how he behaved towards the government and everything. And then you turn around to Civil War, and you could see the arguments that were being put there. And then you look at Black Panther, which was such a shallow story to me. Yeah, what's his face? Michael B. Jordan played an amazing character, but that was in spite of the writing, not because of. So, I mean, I think they did a real disservice. And you look at how Star Wars has gone from being an amazing space opera back to, back from A New Hope through Return of the Jedi. We're going to ignore the prequels because they don't count. They never have. And you look at Last Jedi. You look at whatever the one before that was. And you look at Solo. And you can see how they're forcibly injecting these themes which are alienating a huge portion of the fan base to begin with. But you can see the kind of messages that they're pushing. Now, if you take more characters and more IPs, and it's not just the Marvel stuff that Disney's going to end up getting from Fox.
Right.
It's basically everything that they have. Now, can you imagine having the Asian chick from Last Jedi showing up and ruining all your movies? Not her specifically.
Yeah,
obviously,
right.
But that character that doesn't matter, that just pops up and ruins everything. When you have one voice box speaking through all the loudspeakers, then you stop getting the variety of thought. You stop getting the variety of creation. And on top of that, I mean, that's just a big part. But I mean, who's the biggest competitor to Marvel? DC, obviously, but not when you're looking at the damn movies.
No.
You don't have freedom of choice. Like, if I want a hamburger, I can go to Wendy's, Hardee's, McDonald's, Burger King, blah, blah, blah. If I want a comic book movie, I can watch one of 3 Pixar movies, or the crappy DCU movies, or the admittedly awesome MCU, whatever. But at this point, you're getting to where it's just bad. You have the mega chain versus the small tinies. But yeah, that's enough.
The MCU's biggest competition are the Marvel movies not in the MCU. It is basically where we're at.
Well,
go ahead.
Not really, because I would say even the crappy DCU movies are better than every Fantastic Four ever made, and they're better than every X-Men movie made except the first one. The first X-Men movie was actually really nice. I enjoyed it.
I can agree with that.
Well, but you do have the 2 Deadpool movies. You've got varying degrees of quality Spider-Man movies, depending on which
all over the place
Spider-Man movie you're talking about.
Yeah, but Spider-Man is no longer not MCU though.
Well, true, but if you go back, and I mean they're not being made anymore.
We're talking
but
period.
if you're talking about right now, then yeah, you're right. Just for giggles, I'm looking at a list according to Box Office Mojo, the top 10 highest grossing films of all time. Avatar, which is Fox, Titanic, which is also Fox, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Disney, Avengers: Infinity War, Disney, Jurassic World, Universal, Marvel's The Avengers, Disney, Furious 7, which I think those movies are Universal. Age of Ultron. Why is that up there? That was not it wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't a great movie either. Disney, Black Panther, Disney, and Harry Potter, Warner Brothers. And so right now, Disney already basically owns this list. And if they buy Fox, they're buying the only two movies that are beating them, Avatar and Titanic. I realize no one's really making any money off Titanic anymore. I mean, I guess somewhere out there somebody is. But James Cameron is supposedly still making Avatar movies. I'll believe that when I see it. I think I know he's got 2 more written, but I think the likelihood that either of those are coming out is about right up there with the Final Fantasy VII remake actually hitting store shelves. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I disagree.
Gotta rub it in.
Because if Disney takes it, Disney has become that evil money beast.
Yeah, sure. If Disney buys it, then I think the chances increase significantly. But under Fox, even if Comcast bought Fox, I don't think it would happen. It's yeah. I don't know why. I think it's just this idea that when you and I've said it before, when you give someone who is really creative and a really big visionary unlimited money and unlimited creative freedom, you either wind up with the product never coming out or you wind up with the Star Wars prequels. Those are your 2 options. You don't very rarely do you wind up with a quality product that comes out. But I
liked the prequels better than the new ones.
I liked Revenge of the Sith maybe better than some of the new ones, but not the first 2.
Well, I subscribe to the theory that Jar Jar was a Sith Lord the whole time. So
I think that should be canon.
Thinking that actually makes the whole thing work for me.
I suppose. Anyway, it's been me and Jimmy the whole time. Sam, I know you're a big Marvel fan, and again, as we've already addressed, this is more than just Disney buying Marvel. Now, I'm convinced that that's primarily why is that happening right now. Are you moving a cord or something?
Are you made out of electricity?
That sounded awful. Anyway, as I was trying to say before the world started to end in audio form, this is bigger than Disney just buying the few remaining Marvel properties that they don't have the licenses for the movies. Now, I'm not sure how terribly interested Disney would be in buying Fox if it weren't for this fact. I still think they would be interested. I just don't think they would be nearly as aggressive as they are if not for this fact. But Sam, you're a big Marvel fan. What is your opinion on this?
I kind of agree. I don't even honestly. I think even less so the fact that I think the Marvel properties really takes the cake for them buying them out, because I can't see them really caring much about anything else, especially with how much the money they're making off the MCU in general, and just overall publicity. Like the public opinion of Disney and Marvel together are pretty high right now. But I honestly, I would love to see like crossovers with the X-Men and stuff. But I think the thing I'm most interested in is seeing Fantastic Four hopefully done right. I think that would be the coolest thing ever, because there's always like Johnny Storm and Peter Parker, or I guess Johnny Storm and Spider-Man hanging out and like doing stuff, and that would just be
some of the best fights with Venom were with those 2.
Yeah, like just seeing that visualized in like a live action movie would be so dope. But I honestly, I don't know. I don't really have, other than like I guess I haven't taken time to like think of it critically. I've only thought of, man, it'd be so cool to see like this fanboy fight play out, like something that like I read in a comic book or something, just that's all I can think of really.
Yeah.
One word, man. Doom.
Yeah.
Doom?
Yeah. Victor Von Doom.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Man. Doom. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking
you don't even need to say the doctor part. Doom.
I was thinking of the video game movie
That's what
that
I was
no one
thinking.
likes to
actually.
speak of. I was like, why did that come out of left field?
Mhm.
Wait,
No,
well,
no, I mean,
who-
who would not want to see Captain America just punch Doom in the face?
hold on. Who made the Doom movie? Speaking of which.
Nobody. It just happened.
Okay, well
Well,
that honestly makes I think a little bit more sense now.
Look it up.
yeah, Doom getting punched in the face is pretty cool. But in the Fantastic Four animated series, there's this one point where the Thing actually got cured of his powers and became a human, and he was forced to take him back so he could save the rest of Fantastic Four. And I don't think I've ever seen such raw emotion in like a kid's animated show before, because he ended up going right after Doom, and he basically crushed his hands and just like annihilated him. It was
I
like,
don't know, man.
woo,
Batman the animated series had a couple of real tearjerkers.
that's true.
So I've looked up a list of movies that Fox has made, and I think it's important to point out, because this wasn't clear to me until later. The only thing up for sale is 20th Century Fox, the film company. This does not include Fox's television networks. So which I thought, was like, well, man, Disney owns ABC, so then they would own Fox. Disney owns ESPN. They would also own the Fox Sports Network. They would own FX. That's not the case. It's just the film properties are being broken off. So other than the X-Men movies and bad Fantastic Four movies, you would also have Disney, because even though Disney bought Lucasfilm, Fox still owns distribution rights of all of the previous Star Wars movies. So that would bring all of the Star Wars films under the Disney umbrella. Let's see, just things they do the Planet of the Apes movies. They do Dude, Where's My Car? That was a classic. Right there. I never saw it. It looks stupid. Let's see. Oh, from Justin to Kelly, the two people that were in American Idol the first season. They made a really bad musical. They would own that.
Oh, I had forgotten about that movie. Why'd you make me remember it?
Because I saw it in this list. They would own The Passion of the Christ.
Well, that's
I did not know that Fox did The Passion of the Christ, so they would own that.
Well, of course.
Neither did I.
Wow. Why? What? Oh. I apparently tried to breathe barbecue sauce.
Don't do that. You're supposed to eat it.
Mm.
Great video game movie, Grandma's Boy. No,
That was awful.
Yeah, it was. It was stupid. I mean, I liked their kind of funny portrayal of who's the guy that made Doom and all. What's his name?
Adam Sandler.
No, well, it was his production company, but he's not actually in it. But no, whoever it was anyway. The Ice Age movies. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so the Die Hard franchise. I forgot.
The greatest
Fox.
Christmas movie of all time.
Exactly.
Yep.
They would milk that to death.
Well, I mean, Fox already is.
Yeah, they kind of did.
Let's see. The Alvin and the Chipmunks computer generated movies. Let's see.
Which they won't stop playing on Nickelodeon.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which was freaking awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Movie?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. I need to watch that movie.
That movie is.
Is that on Google Play? I might rent
I don't know, but it's so good.
You know, the sad thing is that came out at roughly the same time as Daniel Day-Lewis's Lincoln movie.
Yeah,
I remember
it was weird, and I only saw one of them, not the one based in.
I gotta be honest, man.
Okay.
Gotta be honest with you, man. Daniel Day-Lewis plays an amazing Lincoln, and I would really love to think that that's how Abraham actually was.
Yeah. I'll see it one of these days.
A thought crosses my mind. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say I'm running Vampire Hunter tonight because it's on Google Play.
There you go. It's such a good movie.
Okay,
That's happening.
A thought just crossed my mind as we're talking about these movies that would cross rights boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me to thinking about how Spider-Man, and I can't unthink of it with Sam every time he talks and Spider-Man pops up. Sony giving Disney and the MCU rights to use Spider-Man. If they can play nice in the movies, why the hell can't they play nice in the cross-play platforms?
Who knows?
Well, I think that that's probably due to the fact that while the PlayStation platform is in kind of a position where they can flex their muscles a little bit and get away with it somewhat, the movie division of Sony is not really in that same position.
Yeah, I'm hearing they're not doing too well in any other. Didn't they sell off their mobile and their television?
Yeah, well, so they had partnered with Ericsson to do all their mobile, so it wasn't really them. They are no longer have that contract with Ericsson. They don't really have a presence in the PC space anymore. They don't really have a presence in television and stereos anymore. I mean, they still do, but not like they used to. Basically, the only part of there's only been 2 divisions of Sony that have been profitable for quite a while now, and they are the PlayStation division. And I didn't know this because it doesn't exist outside of Asia, but they sell insurance on like electronics, and that apparently makes them bukus of money, but again, only in Asia. The film department, the music department, and pretty much everything else that Sony's been involved in for a few decades now has been a giant money pit.
Well, I mean, that brings me back to a thought I had earlier, actually, with the PSP. And I'm thinking, the Switch, they just did that little, strong arm announcement, how, yeah, look at us, we crossplay with Xbox.
I know.
With the Switch. I'm thinking, the PSP could have been so much better.
Mm-hmm.
They were so close. They were so close. If they could have just reached out and grabbed a couple of things that Nintendo has grabbed with the Switch, they could have actually been really awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't like saying nice things about Sony. I just don't like them anymore.
Yeah. So, and then while I'm on here, movies that Fox is doing that have not come out yet: Bohemian Rhapsody, the film about Queen.
Ooh, I'm really excited about that, actually.
I am both excited and not excited because I love movies like that, but at the same time, every time I go see a movie that's about a band or a musician or something, all I really do is wind up finding out how utterly horrible people they were.
Yeah.
And I while I understand that Freddie Mercury was not like a great person, I already know this. And I already knew this about people like Ray Charles, but going and seeing the movie, it's like, oh, that's how horrible of a person they were. I don't know that I want to know that about Queen. So
see, I don't have
My
that
wife
kind of attachment. I just like a couple of their songs, and I don't know, the movie just interests me every time I'm in the theater and the trailer. I'm like, that looks actually kind of good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, interesting tidbit about that. I don't remember the name of the guy who plays. What's his name?
Freddie
but it
Mercury.
was originally offered. Yeah, it was originally offered to Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yep.
Who I think would have done an amazing job because he's already pretty gay. And
like, on one hand, I agree with you. He would have done an amazing job. On the other hand, I can't stand him, and that would have been enough for me to not go see that movie. I hate him in everything he's ever been in.
Really? You didn't like him in Sweeney Todd?
No, I'm not saying he didn't do a good job. It's okay. And it's because I look at him and I'm like, that's Borat. That's all I see. And I can't stand it.
Oh, trust me. Borat is the least of his sins, I promise.
Well, I'm sure that Bruno was even worse, but I didn't see Bruno.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
No.
Just
Well,
for the love of your eyeballs.
I watched that movie where he has like a brother that's an assassin. I forget what it's
Oh,
called.
that looked terrible too.
You know what? It was okay
I
until
liked
near
it.
the end. And that's like, okay, I should have known something like this would happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say what happened because this is a
What part of him?
Christian
what nasty
podcast.
part of him did they show? That's the question.
Well, it involves sitting
Was it
down
as bad
on
as
something.
Bruno?
Probably not, because I actually watched the whole movie.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
I, mean,
that-
I actually liked him in The Dictator or whatever it was called. Because it was an absurd kind of
Oh, he was in
reflection
that.
of reality.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't good, but it wasn't
Mhm.
terrible.
Yeah.
He still had all of his nasty, dirty jokes and everything. But as far as the Queen movie goes, my wife will literally murder me if I don't take her to see it at least twice. But Sam, you said you like a couple of Queen songs. I will tell you that the Proto Men do better Queen than Queen ever did.
I'm actually
They have
I've
an album.
found I've been a more of a fan of like covers of older songs that I ended up liking more than the original songs themselves,
Mhm.
which is probably going to
Well,
sound blasphemous to maybe some other people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
Like I like when Korn does covers of a lot of songs. Like Metallica, I don't like Metallica, but I do like Metallica covers. Korn did a wonderful cover of One that was pretty awesome. But no, the
Despise
Proto
them
Men,
so
they
much.
have an album called A Night with Queen, and they do 12 songs, and it's an amazing group anyway. And then you add the classic rock to it, and it's operatic and it's amazing, and they're good. You should listen to them.
Okay. Fox did Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. So if this means that we get a Dragon Ball Z MCU crossover, I'm game. Let's make it happen.
That'd be
Bye,
cool.
Fox.
Fox didn't actually make that movie though.
I mean, no, the U.S. distribution only with Funimation, produced by Toei Company and Toei Animation.
And then it was moot anyway because they turned around and they made a series based on the story. So the movie doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so there's anyway. Fox has a pretty, like any film production company, they've got movies that are really good. They've got movies that are really bad. They've got a whole bunch of stuff in between. So whoever buys Fox, and I mean, it's clear Fox wants to be sold. Rupert Murdoch is not interested in Fox being in the film business anymore. He wants to sell it. So someone, whether it's Disney or Comcast or the guy down the street that you don't know has billions of dollars buried in his backyard, someone is buying this company, and whoever does is going to have a wealth of entertainment options. What the heck? There's a listing on here for Gambit, June 7th, 2019. That's still a thing that's happening.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know that.
Off and on, off and on.
Yeah.
it's kind of like how Venom was for a while. 'Cause
Right.
Venom was planned
You
for
know,
a couple years.
I am cautiously optimistic for Venom.
Same here.
I think it's weird that, I mean, like, I get it if they want to be like, the MCU is going to ignore Venom, but to just be like, oh no, this has absolutely nothing to do with the other Marvel movies when Spider-Man does, I think it's odd.
Really
I think they could easily like pull it off with something with like the multiverse or whatever, and
Yeah.
with the Spider-Verse and stuff. But
I mean, because
It
that
just-
essentially means the new Spider-Man is never going to have a role in that story because Spider-Man is part of the MCU,
yeah.
right?
And
No,
it's
we
weird
don't-
too because they know that Spider-Man is now making them like way more money than he ever has and probably ever will if they decide to back up
That's-
the MCU.
That's because they started letting Marvel call the shot.
Right, that's what I mean. So it's like it's weird to see that they know that it's there and that like if they were to just bring Venom into the MCU as well, they'd be able to make a ton of money. For
Mhm.
some reason they're not doing that, and I don't fully
I'll
understand.
tell you why they're not doing that. Venom is too street level, man. The MCU, except in small cases, is all about grand villains, right? These are not
Yeah.
guys that just show up. You're not gonna have the Rhino just pop in and show up unless he's just a quick beat up guy, right?
Mhm.
You're not gonna have Vulture unless he's got that whole team of people doing things. It's gonna be the Sinister Six. It's not gonna be just Electro.
Mhm.
No, it's gotta be big. I mean, you got Ultron, you got Thanos, you got freaking and all of a sudden my mind draws a blank. But big bad guys.
Mhm.
Big bad guys.
Well, and it's
Ego.
similar to how, well, but then again, it's not really. So the Netflix Marvel TV shows are
Yeah.
not really part of the MCU, but they do reference things that happen in the movie, not constantly. You might get, somebody makes an offhand comment about what they keep referring to as the incident which is what happened in the first Avengers movie. But there is some sort of these characters do exist in this world, even if that world never acknowledges them. They do acknowledge the world. And it seems like the Venom movie's not going to do that from what I understand. And I think that's a strange decision.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you gotta figure that Venom has been more than just Eddie Brock, ex Spider-Man black suit, ex Deadpool black suit. He's also been Agent Venom on Flash. He's also been, what's his name, the Scorpion. He's also, he's been all over the place. He's not just Peter Parker's bad guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, they could easily pull him up. I mean, I personally think that they're gonna take this and turn him into sort of the Lethal Protector type of. He's more Punisher than he is Spider-Man, or more Punisher than he is Magneto. He's
Yeah.
an anti-hero. He's Spawn, really, or Ghost Rider. He's
I want to
not
see
gonna be-
Spawn.
Yeah.
I
They're
have not
gonna-
watched that movie.
You know that the new one. I'm not looking forward to it.
Because of Jamie Foxx, right?
Yeah, I don't. Something about that guy rubs me the wrong way.
I don't like him.
When I was younger, I saw like a picture of it, and I thought it was Venom. I thought it was Spider-Man related, not necessarily Venom, but I thought it was Spider-Man related.
Yeah.
And I got like excited, and then my brother, being an older brother, was just like, "Oh yeah, you want to watch it?" And I was like, "Sure." He puts it on, and I was terrified. And yeah, that was
Well,
Yeah.
Oh
I
man.
remember one of the times that my dad was trying to be nice to me in between his fits of drunken rage, and he went to a comic shop that was closing down and bought me just like these 3 or 4 big boxes of stuff that they were just getting rid of because they couldn't sell it. And one of the things that was in one of the boxes was an action figure, and it was the coolest thing in the world. I thought it was Spider-Man. It was Deadpool. I thought it was Spider-Man. And
Oh,
I'm
no.
just thinking,
Mhm.
okay, where's the comic where Spider-Man has katanas? That's awesome. I want to see that. And then years later, I figured out who he was.
that
Also
would be
got,
a dope storyline.
So one of you mentioned Ghost Rider, and you'll remember there were at least 2 movies. that
Oh,
were Ghost
yes.
Rider.
Yes,
they're-
wait, you can
they're-
go on Amazon and buy both of them in a Blu-ray double pack for like $7.
That's amazing. Those are the kind of movies that are so bad they're good.
Especially
But
the
they-
second one.
What's that?
Especially the
actually
second
like
one because
Yeah.
he really I feel like he really hammed that one up.
Yeah, he did. Those were distributed. Interestingly, I didn't know this because I was just kind of assuming it was Fox, but those are distributed by Columbia Pictures, which is owned by Sony.
Oh,
So that's interesting.
Who did the Punisher movies?
Let's find out. Because there were
I think
2 of those.
Marvel
2
actually did that, didn't they?
I mean, obviously it's irrelevant because Disney has the Punisher TV series.
Yeah.
I think Ghost
Yeah,
Rider
oh.
did really well in Agents of Shield.
I have not gotten to that point yet. I think I stopped at the end of season 2.
It was definitely the more like it was less. I don't know. For me, Agents of Shield seems kind of like away from everything else, and I guess that's kind of what they're going for some dumb reason. But like that was the most connected to the comics, because I don't know if Agents of Shield has been a comic line at any point in time, but them bringing in Ghost Rider really made it feel like it was actually connected to Marvel in more ways.
Mhm.
Well, on top of that, they also had Sif show up at one point in season 1, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I feel like that's the last time we ever saw her
I'll tell you
too.
it was.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you one thing about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I do not dislike the program. It does feel really weird, and I'm not sure I'm happy with them bringing Coulson back and not putting him back in the movies, but I'm glad the guy has a job either way. But I will tell you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it reminds me of like a weird perverted mix between 3 different programs. X-Files, Warehouse 13, and like Erie, Indiana.
Nice.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just to go back a little bit, Lionsgate Films did the Punisher movies.
Oh yeah, they did.
That's right.
Hmm.
They put out all the cheesy low-budget movies.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Believe
Disney
me.
already own that?
Well, yeah, because that's part of the Netflix, and that's
Okay.
Disney. What'll be real interesting to see, and I'm sure this will be a top. Actually, you know what? We can just talk about it now, because everyone knows that Disney has every intention of pulling all of their library from Netflix and launching their own streaming service. But the shows are Netflix originals. So now we're back in a situation that Marvel is in currently, where Sony owns this license and Fox owns this license, and now it's Netflix owns this
just
license.
Netflix. You also have other shows that are on other streaming services. You got what?
That's right. There's one on
Runaways,
Hulu,
you
isn't
have-
there?
Yeah,
you
what
got
is that one?
Runaways, you
Oh,
got
yeah, that one.
Cloak and Dagger. You got
Mhm.
Squirrel Girl coming up.
Well, Cloak and
Um,
Dagger's on Freeform, and they own that one. So
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, really, I think Disney has the clout and the money to buy him back if they really wanted to.
Yeah, if
Oh,
if
yeah.
they did. It is interesting though how Marvel they've never had all of their IP at least for visual what am I saying, movies and stuff under one thing. Obviously they own all their comics and stuff,
That's
but
incorrect.
it is.
Yes, it is.
Hasn't it just kind of been all over the place for as long as this has been a thing?
No, that is not true. Because they have done a really crappy Fantastic Four movie at the same time that they did a really crappy Hulk movie. At the same time, they did a really crappy Captain
Oh.
America movie back in the day.
Yeah.
Before Marvel started going to where, oh my crap, we're about to go bankrupt. We need to make some money fast. How do we do that? Sell off the
Mhm.
rights.
Yeah.
This is well before the crash of the comics market in like the mid
Mhm.
80s, late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you can actually find a lot of their really bad movies. Swamp Thing. It's either Swamp Thing or Man Thing. I can't
One
remember
of
which
the
one's
something
which.
thing.
Well, one of them's DC, the other one's Marvel, but they're both the same freaking character. So
Yeah.
um,
Okay, so for a while they haven't had
Yeah.
all of their IP under one umbrella, whereas DC, for a very long time, they've had all their IP under Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers just can't get it together with the movies. They're killing it in the cartoons. Those cartoons are freaking awesome, but
cartoons are hit or miss.
well, yeah, sure.
Are we talking about the series or are we talking about the movies?
Both, I suppose.
Well,
Because like I love
problem I
the
have is,
the
like,
Batman Superman cartoon from the 90s. Still one of my favorite cartoons as a
Yeah.
kid.
Well, when you're talking about the mid 90s classic Superman Batman Adventures and the original Batman the Animated Series, followed by the Justice League, that was all in continuity and that was very, very well done.
Mhm.
But if you look at the DCEU movies that they're doing, where they had like Batman and Harley Quinn and Death of Superman and all these various other ones, those are all like pocket dimension type deals. None of them are in continuity. They all make the presumption that you already know who all these characters are, and it's kind of a barrier for entry for new fans, I guess.
Yeah.
And as a result, I find that bothersome.
hmm
Granted, some of them are really, really good. Some of them are really, really bad. Like Batman Ninja was just awful. Now,
Aw,
don't get me wrong, I loved the movie, but it was awful.
Yeah.
it was so over the top though.
Well, that's
Oh,
probably
and
the
then-
point,
and
wasn't
then-
it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was the biggest problem I had with it was the damn cell shaded animation. Not like hand drawn cells. Like they decided to make a video game like 13, or Borderlands, where they do the fake cell shaded.
Oh
character
yeah.
models, and
It almost
just
looks like a Flash
terrible.
cartoon.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
2 hours of that garbage, but it was. I mean, it was every awful anime trope ever thrown together with a Batman veneer.
Sounds like I need to see it.
That sounds like
Wait, Assad, you haven't seen it?
Not yet, no.
There.
Well,
Oh,
I
please,
mean-
please go watch it as soon as possible. It's so ridiculous.
Probably the best part about it was halfway through, after Joker and Harley got the snot beat out of them. That was fun, and
Just-
the fact that they actually made Red Hood like actually want to kill people.
Hmm.
That was cool because they usually don't do that. The Bat family. So
Mhm.
I mean, I really think Red Hood was done well in that, despite that really dorky hat that he wears.
Me and my friends were really freaking out. I guess this is kind of a spoiler warning. Is this okay?
Go for it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And I won't be too descriptive about it either. The giant Super Sentai / Power Rangers type mechs. That was
I
like
actually knew about those already.
Oh, okay.
It was more of like a Violent Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me want to watch even more.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I want to see this movie.
now.
It wasn't
Well, like I
it wasn't good or anything, but man, it was great in how over the top it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, but it was
Yeah.
not good.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That was roughly the same description I had for Bright when I watched it. It was fun, not good.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Yes.
that movie, and I would even watch it again, but that's because it was fun. But yeah, if I'm looking at it like through a critical eye, it was not a fantastic movie.
Right. I think I remember that. Isn't that the one where the kids have superpowers or something?
That Will Smith, the Netflix original.
It's
Oh
the one
yeah,
that's
that's right. I
basically-
loved that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was basically Shadowrun without the Shadowrun license.
And I want them
Okay.
like that's I'm
Uh-huh.
usually not one to be like, oh, this should be a series, but I would watch a sequel to that.
It's
Yeah.
already in production, brother. It
Well,
was
there
in
you go.
production before it was released.
Probably, and I'd go watch that.
No,
yeah.
not probably. I would watch it again and again. Now to be fair, a lot of the messages were really heavy-handed and
Oh, yeah.
super obvious and not very subtle.
hmm
But I mean, come on, man.
It was
Freaking
still a fun
ogres,
movie.
Orcs.
Just
They're not going to
wanted-
kill off Will Smith before the sequel, are they? Again?
Well, I mean, no, probably not. I
No.
mean,
Okay.
Okay, that's an Independence Day reference, so good on you. But
Oh, is he
Um,
dead in the sequel? I
Yeah,
haven't seen the Independence Day 2 or whatever they call it.
he
Well-
dies in a test
Yeah.
crash.
So he's
Oh.
All things.
that's how they kill. So they kill him off camera, and he's not even doing anything cool.
Well, he was
Well,
flying
he's-
like a high-tech jet. So
Wait, so it's
Well,
the
you gotta
same thing as
figure,
what's his
man.
name in Godzilla? Like they advertised the heck out of him, and then he
Oh,
dies.
when yeah, Walter White. What's
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston is in
Yeah.
Godzilla, and he dies in like the first 15 minutes of the movie. And I'm
I
like,
was
what the
legitimately upset about
crap?
that. I was legitimately
well, the
upset
thing
about
about the thing about Bright that made Bright a good movie was not the action, was not the storyline, like the specific storyline of them trying to find the wand and the elf
Mhm.
princess or what the hell ever. The good part about that movie was just the back and forth between the human and the orc
Yeah.
police officers. That was it. Two guys who clearly don't like each other being forced to work together, and it reminded me so much of being in the Navy. It wasn't even funny.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
two guys who hate each other's guts, forced to sit 6 inches apart for 12 to 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
And they're just trading jabs back and forth. And it was hilarious to me. And I loved
Yeah.
it.
It
It
was fun.
reminded
Wanted
me a
more of
lot
that.
of the late '80s, early '90s buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
The
Right.
Lethal
right.
Weapons.
But- I would have said more like that one with Jackie Chan and the little black.
Rush
kid.
Hour.
Yes.
That's the one.
Ah,
What's that
so
guy's
good.
name? Because I feel bad.
Chris
Chris
Tucker.
Tucker.
Chris Tucker. The only movie I actually liked him in was Sixth Element. So
Oh,
Fifth
that's Fifth Element.
Fifth
That's so good.
Element.
Yeah.
That's- You said
Think of the
6. And I'm like,
sequel.
wait, is there another one that I don't know
Called
about?
the Sixth-
yeah, it's Ozone.
Yeah. So of kind of getting back to Fox buying Disney and just the conversation we were having about how this isn't like, while it may be good, for Marvel perhaps to get all these licenses under one roof and stuff, that it's ultimately it's not good for consumers because, as Jimmy was pointing out, there's less choice. And I've actually been wondering about that with Sony for a little while. There's essentially 5 big media companies: Walt Disney, Fox, NBC, which is now owned by Comcast, Paramount, Viacom, CBS. That I don't know what their conglomerate is called, but they're all part of one thing. And then Warner Brothers. Did I cover everything? I feel like I left somebody out. Anyway, so that's essentially
That
it.
sounds right.
Yeah, with Fox getting, I mean, like they're still going to have a big presence in news and in television, so they're not really going away. But their film division is, and so regardless of who buys them, that landscape is getting smaller, and it with Disney being big enough that they can just start writing checks to people to buy stuff, and Comcast at the very least acting like they're that big. I don't know if they really are, but they sure seem to want to be. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay, two things. Number one, who makes the Transformers movies?
That's Paramount.
Oh,
Okay. So Paramount owns Transformers, which means that the Marvel comic coming up that's a crossover between Star Trek and Transformers is not going to be too hard to do. Because Paramount also
Right,
owns
they
the movie
do.
rights to the Star Trek
Wait.
series.
Mhm.
And they've gotten in with CBS, and there's 5 more new Trek things happening. And you know who's coming back? Jean-Luc Picard is coming back.
Really?
ooh.
I'm
That's
sorry.
interesting.
What did you say the crossover was?
Transformers and Star Trek.
Transformers and
Oh my
Star
goodness! I don't even
Oh.
watch. I don't have any involvement with Star Trek, but I would read that.
Trek. Okay, well, here's the basic plot line. It takes place during the 3rd and 4th years of the first 5-year mission with Kirk and Spock and everybody, taking place during the animated series timeline after Uhura's gone and is replaced by that cat chick person thing. And apparently they get a distress call, and not only does the Enterprise show up, but so does Optimus and several of his dudes, and they all end up fighting Megatron and his cronies. So that's the synopsis, basically.
That sounds ridiculous.
I want to see the Enterprise versus Unicron myself, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see him blow up Unicron.
So anyway, back to what I was saying. Warner Brothers is, they're not flexing their buying muscle like Disney and Comcast are, but at least for a while, and I don't know if this is still the case, what with Disney buying up everybody, but for the longest time, Warner Brothers, at least in home video, was far bigger than anybody else. Like their next closest competition, it wasn't even a contest. It was stupid how much bigger Warner Brothers was in home video than anything else. So Warner Brothers is a huge entity. Sony is really like, if once Fox gets bought up by whoever, Sony's probably in a prime position to have their film division bought up by somebody, whether it's Sony wanting that to happen, or like I said, Disney just walking into the studio and being like, how many zeros, and I will make this happen.
Well, I mean, could be a hostile takeover too. I mean, that is always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put that beyond the mouse, man, because I think he's vicious.
They're eating everything up, and they're doing it quick. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because of course, how like government regulators and stuff rule on the buyout of Fox is going to determine a lot of how this plays out. If being interested in tech news in general, every time, and because I'm a customer of T-Mobile's, every time T-Mobile comes up for like someone's going to buy them, I start paying attention, because I like T-Mobile. There's a very big, like when AT&T was talking about buying T-Mobile, I was like, the only thing worse would be Verizon buying T-Mobile. I hate AT&T. I hate Verizon. I do not want to be a customer of either of theirs. So when as much as I was very conflicted actually when the Department of Justice was like, no, AT&T can't buy T-Mobile, because as a libertarian, I was like, well, who the crap are you to tell AT&T they can't buy T-Mobile? As a T-Mobile customer, I was like, thank you. I really didn't want this to happen. But anyway, that sets some precedent for, how these telecom companies are merging. And so how the Department of Justice or whoever it is that's going to rule on whether or not Disney can buy Fox is going to have a lot of, there's going to be waves in how other buyouts potentially move forward.
Sure, we're talking about precedents, but you also have to figure that the problems that I have with them buying Fox or trying to buy Fox are different from the problems I have with, say, Verizon trying to buy Sprint
Hmm.
or whatever. Because one thing is a service that is area limited, right?
Hmm.
In some areas, you can only find your cell towers for one provider
Right.
for one reason or another. Technically, even if Disney buys all these studios, you could still go out and watch another movie from another company, whether it be huge or small.
Hmm.
You are not really limited. So this is going to be a precedent that's going to not make as many waves as you think, because while I still oppose it on grounds of monopoly, it's not a literal trust. It's not a literal monopoly. It's not like, U.S. Steel owning every kiln in the United States.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a real toughie. I mean, morally speaking, I don't know where I stand on this as a businessman myself.
Hmm. All right. Anybody else got any thoughts before we move on?
My only thought is I'm just glad that it looks like Marvel's going to have their hands on their own properties now, because I feel like they're the only ones who can manage it properly.
Yeah.
I still don't know what I think about like the whole rest of it, with the monopoly in it, because I'm just thinking about the whole Marvel thing. It's pretty irresponsible, actually.
Yeah. I actually wonder how, because this buyout thing kind of it just got dropped on the internet one day as like, oh, what the heck? Disney's gonna buy Fox, and then of course Comcast got involved and stuff like that. But I do wonder how much of it was that some, lawyers and big executives for Disney met with lawyers and big executives at Fox, and it was originally, we want to get these Marvel properties back under our umbrella, and Fox going, sure, as long as you buy everything. And that's how we got here. I don't know that that's it,
Possible.
but I wonder.
Well,
mean, it
there
kinda
is
makes-
precedence. Go ahead.
I was going to say that makes sense, because if you take away all the Marvel stuff, what would you think is like the biggest property they would have after that?
Terminator.
Okay. I didn't
Well,
think about that.
Avatar. I mean, it's not a big property, I guess, but it is the highest grossing film ever made. So
That's true.
there's that.
Well, there is also precedence for large purchases being forced by the government to be split into pieces. So
Mhm.
this might actually be a calculated play for Fox to divest itself of the properties it doesn't want and the financial burdens that come with running a studio like that,
Mhm.
while at the same time allowing Marvel to just get what they want, or Disney to just get what they want. So let's say the SEC says, okay, Fox, you can sell your properties, but you cannot sell the entirety of it to Disney because of, whatever reasons.
Mhm.
And then they say, okay, well, here, Disney, we know that you are making buku bucks. We know how much we made on these characters, so let's split the difference. You're still going to be paying us $30 billion for these characters. You're going to make $500 billion off the characters over the life of the MCU.
Mhm.
The rest of the stuff, you're like, hey, Sony, here, you can have our avatars for $5 million. You can have our Terminators for $25 million. You can have our whatevers, and split it up amongst the other groups. This is not unheard of. This has happened before. I mean, even in the video game industry, you've seen things split up like that, like
Yeah.
with Interplay selling off Fallout and things like that.
Mhm.
So
That's how
there,
when THQ went down, they somebody bought this and somebody bought that. And
I think
on and
some
on,
things
so,
still
yeah.
haven't been bought yet, have they?
Well, I know like THQ Nordic apparently still exists as its own entity. Like, I guess I don't know, like if the employees bought themselves or whatever it was, but I know that that's not being bought by a bigger company.
Right.
Right, and Deep Silver kind of became its own thing.
Hmm.
They're the ones who made all the Saints Row games.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
also became their own thing. So
Yeah. Hmm. So.
well, I mean, like all the Black Isle people basically ended up making their own deal too, and
Mhm.
they kind of got shafted on New Vegas though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Obsidian really did get shafted on New Vegas. Seriously, they would have gotten. I think it was a significant bonus if they made an
It wasn't even
85
a
on.
bonus. It was royalties.
It was it was a significant. They were going to make significant royalties if they made an 85 on Metacritic, and of course, they made an 84.
I think it's so dumb that stuff like that gets tied to what your Metacritic. I mean, especially because like, and I say that well, and not just
manipulated.
well, yeah, and it can people when Breath of the Wild came out and it sat at 100 for a while, and then like I think it went down to 99 or something, and then Jim, whatever his name is, of the Jimquisition came out and just basically decimated the game. Said he hated it, gave it a bad review score, and it went down. And to think that one guy, and I'm not people who complained about that, like I can't believe that he you know, whatever. It's his opinion. He's entitled to it. You can think he's wrong. It's really not that big of a deal. But to think that one guy could have that kind of an impact on how much money you make is the most absurd thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on top of that, I mean, as a business owner myself, I don't like contracts being based on intangibles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're sticking with the entertainment industry, and I put video games into the same entertainment industry as movies and television and whatnot, you have a lot of actors who don't make a lot of base salary, but they do get points on ticket sales, right?
Yeah.
So what they could have done was said, hey, look, we'll make this game for this is how much it's going to cost you to make the game, period. And then we expect points on the sales of each, original download or original disc. And they would have been solid on that because their return would be based entirely on sales, which is fair to all people involved. It also motivates them to make a better game, and it motivates the distributors to, advertise properly. So that whole deal was just, Bethesda was dirty on that one. That's what I think. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next segment of the show. I got to pull my thing up. Sorry about that. Phrasing.
Wow.
You can find us, CrossForge Gaming, on various platforms. You can find, if you're watching us on YouTube, you already know that there's an audio version of this podcast over on patreon.com/CrossForge Gaming. It is free. We do take donations over there on Patreon, but the audio podcast is not behind a paywall. Those of you who are listening to the audio podcast from Patreon, you can find this on YouTube over youtube.com/CrossForge Gaming. We've also got other shows over there, such as Cross Examine, which just kicked off again. They recorded their newest episode tonight, and we'll get that up soon. And then Tech Forge. I had forgotten the name of it for a second there. I was like, I almost said Forge On, but that's not what it is. That's Ned's little thing. Yeah,
No,
so that's
to do with this.
right. That's going to be that we'll be putting that out soon. So a lot of really cool stuff. You can also find us over on twitch.tv/CrossForge Gaming. Our very own Ned plays Fallout there every Tuesday, and we've got various things. I think right now, as we're recording, I believe is Nolan live with Dark Souls or yeah. So obviously, those of you listening to this, that's in the past. But anyway, every Thursday you can find him playing some difficult game, whether it's Dark Souls or Bloodborne or Battletoads, whatever it is that we got going on over there.
There's new Battletoads coming out too.
There is.
I know, and he needs to play it.
Good. So yeah, just check us out there, and also join our community on Facebook.com/group/CrossForge Gaming, and like our Facebook page, Facebook.com/CrossForge Gaming. All right.